and the Radio Raccoon with Mick the Mixter Bazzuly and the Raccoon Cynthia E. Ferguson. To call into the show, call 888-565-1470. And now, here's the Mixter and the Radio Raccoon.
1 p.m. on a wild Wednesday here in Fort Lauderdale. Welcome to the show. I'm Mick Bazzuly, your host. I tell you, 20,000 today in Wall Street. You talk about a bull market. I mean, this is just unbelievable. And it's great because it's a great thing because today we have a company that's going to be joining us. We have two. We have a company that's in the tracking business, Gopher Protocol. Now, this is a bulletin board company. Hopefully, will make its way to the NASDAQ eventually, and it's sure making great strides in doing that. We're going to be visited by the Chief Technical Officer. He's going to join us, Dr. Danny Rittman, and we're going to talk mainly about what they have as far as their patents go, the direction of the company, and I'll tell you a little bit about the company. It's got about $1.5 million in the float. It trades a little bit over $1, $1.20, $1.30. And it's taken years to develop this technology, and they have more than one. They have a tremendous tracking device for pets called the Guardian Pet Tracker, which I got to tell you is phenomenal. You hook it onto the collar, it works. It's so superior a product that you're going to be impressed by it. We're going to be joined by Dr. Rittman shortly. We're also going to be joined by a company out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Tom Kozlowski, considered by many and probably one of the best at tracking as far as tracking customers and consumers for websites. He drives traffic. He works quite a bit with the automotive business and a lot of dealerships throughout the country in the medical business. And he's a statistician, a Yahoo and a Google partner. And, he's been a Fox contributor over the years. He's been on my show before. So we're going to be joined by him sometime during the show. But right now we're going to talk to Danny. Danny, you on the line?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. We'll hear you fine. Everything good? Okay.
Yes.
Doctor,
great.
I'll tell you, congratulations, first of all, because now you're going to launch the first of several high-end tracking devices, which you've been at. You've also got something that we'll talk about all together later that'll revolutionize the phone business, the cell phone business. How long have you been involved with Gopher Protocol?
Well, Mick, I'm basically with Gopher Protocol for the past, I would say, 2.5 years, where we started originally on a big, I would call it a microchip project, which a microchip project is, as you mentioned, going to turn every phone. It is what we call the super phone, but this we will elaborate later. About 2.5 years, Mick.
That's right. And you've gone ahead, you've submitted your patents. I know you have more than one, this one here, which we're going to talk about, which is the Guardian Pet Tracker. You also have the Strip, which we're going to get onto. It's smaller than the size of a dime. It's worldwide, which you'll be releasing probably in the second quarter this year. But that's you'll see the Guardian Strip, which is on the prompter right now. But we're going to talk more about the Globe, which is the Guardian Globe, which is for pets, mainly for dogs, for cats, for things of that nature. When do you think we're going to be able to release this?
Right. Well, Mick, first of all, thank you very much. The Guardian Pet Tracker, which, again, internal code name, the Guardian Sphere.
Right.
The actual product official name is going to be the Guardian Pet Tracker. We anticipate in the next few months, we are currently wrapping up what we call the pre-manufacturing, pre-mass design, mass manufacturing device. And probably by I would say the end of Q1, sometime in Q2, we will be coming with the actual product to the shelf. The other product that you mentioned, Mick, which we call the Guardian Patch, you were right. It looks like a little strip. It's like in the form of a sticky patch. I don't know, maybe 1.5 inch over 0.5 inch or something like that. We don't have the final size yet. This we probably going to see probably in the market toward the end of this year. Again, we wanted to do it earlier, but we're a little bit putting it probably towards Q4 this year, while we're adding more features and making it more robust.
Now, most of these, we've done a lot of research here at the network, They're GPS, which means you're going to pay a fee, a monthly fee, which they don't tell you about. A lot of them make claims. We've seen some of them on air that make claims that really don't exist. You don't have a monthly fee with this, and you're not a GPS system, are you?
Well, actually, Mick, that's a very good question. Well, let's put it this way. First of all, yes, we have no subscription fee, no monthly fee. You buy the system, you own it. You don't have to pay cellular company fees, no GSM, nothing. It works with our own proprietary radio system. Now, GPS, all our systems basically work with GPS. You know, if it is available, I will work with it. Why not? But if I don't have it, I'm independent. I don't need it. It's not a must. That means even if my Guardian patch is inside under a tunnel, inside the garage, in a place when I don't have eye to the sky, it still works. It still will report its location to the user.
You know, that's phenomenal because I tell you, the stick-on patch, it's smaller than a 10-cent piece, isn't it? A dime.
No, the patch, the actual chip inside, you're right, the chip is very tiny. But the actual device, remember, the patch itself, the strip, as you mentioned, it can be done in many ways. We already got many offers, many ideas. Companies want to have it in a form of a square, small one. One company want to have it in a small of a strip. We're going to manufacture it in wide variety of shapes.
Mm-hmm.
The original, yes, it's about a sticky patch, I don't know, an inch length, an inch and a half, maybe over a half an inch, which you're going to affix it to an object, let's say in your car somewhere, in a hidden spot, and that's it. After that, once it's affixed, it starts to work for a period of 1 year on that battery, and you can track it directly from your mobile phone.
That's amazing. I was thinking, and we discussed this, had one of these patches been available on that Malaysian flight that went down some time ago, about 3 years ago, they never found it. Now, your patch also works underwater. So if one piece of luggage, and let's face it, we've all lost luggage at the airport when we're traveling. If you just stuck this on the inside of, let's say, one piece, they would have found that plane. They would have had a very good idea of where it went down and what happened to it.
You're right. It is a sad event that this event happened, of course, but absolutely. If our patch would be already then, it'd be most likely would be able to track because it's perfect for these type of things. There are many applications for the Guardian patch. You can put it on luggages, you can put it on your laptop, you can put anywhere
it's
you
endless.
want.
It's endless. Outboard motors in a marina. You can put it anywhere on anything of value. Right. You could probably even put it on your kid's shoe. So if your kids, what I like is the fact that when your kid goes off to college, you always know where the car is. I mean, whether it's sitting in front of a bar all day long or it's where it's supposed to be. I mean, that for a parent, I think, is worth peace of mind just in itself.
Right, absolutely. That's amazing thing that many people say, I'm going to put my kids a lunchbox, wherever I want to feel some more safe and secure, I can use this patch.
And there's no monitoring fee, monthly fee, because I do know they'll eat you alive with the $18, the $22 a month, because anytime you're on GPS, this is a straight phone app, goes right to your cell phone, could go to your computer, could go to really whatever you have. And you have stuff that is GPS and non-GPS.
Exactly. So that means the GPS we have to keep in mind, Mick. GPS does give you basically one-way direction. It does give you the coordinates. It's our responsibility from there, take the coordinate and send it so it will reach, the user. Say, okay, here is the coordinate of your, car or boat or motorcycle. So the way we do it, we do not use, GSM, which is a cellular network. We do not use even Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. We use our own radio proprietary, and that's the innovative, that's the breakthrough technology that currently no one introduces to this world.
Now, we're going to break out marketing, and let's go to the phone and welcome Tom Kozlowski from RP Summit in Cherry Hill, calling us, taking the time out of his day to give us a call. And we've talked a lot. Tom, are you there?
Yeah, Mick, how are you?
Good. I know you were down with a cold for a while. It's great to have you on the air. We talked about marketing, and you had found a company which is nowhere near what Dr. Rittman has developed, and they sold close to 5 million, 4.5 million units online alone this year.
And there's actually a couple, and I had the pleasure of speaking with the doctor a while back myself, and it's amazing the dramatic differences between the both. Yet I guess it just proves that there's a demand for it in the market because, like I said, they've sold close to 4 million of these units with a substandard product. And that's the interesting part.
Yeah, and it's they're strictly marketing some way online, which is really the specialty of RP Summit. We know how valuable you are to the automotive industry, and it seems that the thing in the past now is the department store. You got Macy's closing 125 stores, Sears. Everything seems to be online today, 60%. And you got the statistics on that. What was the percentage of people who ordered from Amazon this year?
Well, Amazon itself is a magnificent story in itself. If you go back when they first started, Bezos' story, he built the list. He has a worldwide herd he could basically sell whatever he wants at this point. But think about it, Mick. There's no retail space. There's no overhead, so to speak, as far as retail and premium space. As you mentioned, we spoke to a couple of bigger players out of New York. They're worried about they're just trying to keep their doors open. It's hard to compete.
It is, because you don't have that overhead. Not only that, but in Danny's case, he'll be able to pass that savings on to the client itself, onto the consumer, because, again, the markups in these department stores is phenomenal.
Well, without question. And the good news with online capabilities, you don't have to turn around and necessarily commit these enormous campaigns to find out if you're on track or not. The key to all this is test.
And we discussed that just recently, you and I, on another company, and the marketing to brand your product today, if you're going to go conventional type of marketing, is $20, $30, $40 million, and companies just don't have that kind of money to spend.
No. Well, in Danny's case, if you identified the ideal user, and that could be literally anything. It could be three-legged cat owners in North America. The interesting part about the data mining of today, you can literally locate those people. And if you can locate those people, then you can get the message in front of them, and they'll buy from you. That's the short of it.
Danny, when I was speaking to Tom earlier today about pets, when he turned around and said, listen, if you wanted to market just to the black cats in the world, he could find that list. That's what RP Summit does. It tracks and it develops lists, for marketing online. So, again, I think you go in the right direction because, you got these big chains like PetSmart and places like that. You're going to be in a bunch because they won't be the only tracking device there, but you're the superior product and you're affordable, where they try and rope you into these monthly fees because they get a piece of that, I believe.
Right. And then this is correct, Mick. Today, we run, of course, a research about current the tracking technology for pets. Let's just look only at this segment, although you have many. You have to keep in mind, Mick, that a device like even the Guardian Pet Tracker, which is supposed to be only the tip of the eyes of our technology. You have to keep in mind that the Pet Tracker is fairly, we call it, within a company, the tip of the ice, because we have many others, of course, more sophisticated, more advanced technologies. But even if we take just the Guardian Pet Tracker, there are so many applications you can use it because of how it works. This little sphere, little orb, you can actually use, for hospital patients, for Alzheimer patients, for your kids, for your pets, for anything you want besides just the pet. And later on, of course, when we're going to come with the pet, which is more global, then it's virtually, you can use it anywhere. We already got approached, of course, naturally by car companies that want to have this product. Even a company that dig oil in the Arctic Sea, they want to put it on a barrel, oil barrels. A pharmaceutical company want to put on little medicine boxes. Name it, law enforcement, military, name it, and we can use it. Amazing.
Yeah, well, anytime you want to track property, we discussed this. I discussed it with Tom. The automotive industry, of course, they've come a long way as far as repossessing cars. They have certain tracking devices in there and GPS. They could shut your automobile down now if you miss a payment and then just come and hook it because they know where it is. but it's very expensive to put these things in. It's not as cheap as you think. Okay, cost is really, if you're cost effective, and I believe this, okay, you can sell this in a multiple pack because I got more than one thing I'd like to protect. You know, be it your pet, be it your car, be it an outboard motor, be in your luggage when you travel. You can interchange these too. If I'm not mistaken, you can take it off a piece of luggage and put it on your laptop if you're not traveling. Am I correct in that assumption?
Absolutely, yes.
So you can move
it. Taken from anywhere.
It's movable, but the app stays the same. You know, as far as that would go, the application's the same. It's just it's on a piece. The phone doesn't identify if it's a piece of luggage or it's grandpa walking the streets lost.
As the original, we have a version that is supposed to be stick for a whole year. We already got requests, to have a movable one. We got requests to have one that has an exchangeable or rechargeable even battery. We can make many flavors of this device according to requests or demand of the market.
Mm-hmm. Tom, in your expertise, and I know RP Summit, you've been around a long time. I know about your Google association. You could just about delve in and grab up any client or any customer you want based on certain information, and then go out and solicit them. And you were giving me a study about email the other day, whereas it takes more than, you're not going to go out, you're not going to spend X amount of dollars on one email and get an instant response. Give me the figures on that if you can.
Well, MIT did a study on that, and basically what they're stating is, people worry about traffic. That's the biggest word you hear in marketing, traffic. And what they fail to realize, most businesses, well, what do you do when you get them there? So MIT did a study a few years back stating simply this, that in order, the average consumer is hit by something like close to 4,000 advertisements in a day. Imagine that, 4,000. How do you stand out? It's virtually impossible, in many cases. And if you are fortunate enough to get someone's attention, that you need to contact them, or what they call touch them, a minimum of 8 to 12 times in a 15-day period. The key to that, it can't be from the same medium. In other words, you can't call me 8 to 12 times in 2 weeks. I tell you to leave me alone. If you send me 8 to 12 emails, well, that becomes a little boring and they stop opening. So it has to be a combination of multiple touches. It has to be a combination of multiple medias, and then you, what they call drip market to them over a period of time, and at that point, that's your breakthrough. So you combine that with the data mining and the psychographics, and they call psychic graphics of people that would be interested in this, and that's where the true opportunities lie for a product like this.
And that's what the secret is when you're doing internet marketing, which is why the Gopher Protocol and RP Summit should be a pretty significant partnership in the long run. Danny, the more thing, and what Tom basically says is, you have these people, and being you're going to market this on the internet pretty much exclusively to begin with. There's people who guarantee, we'll get you 200,000-300,000 viewers, over a period of a month or 100. But if you don't convert that, if people who are coming there are just skimming around and looking, and they're not going to actually go ahead and buy it, I'd imagine that's a difficult sell. But if you target people that are pet owners, that do have cats and dogs, and if you've ever lost a pet like I have, you panic when you go look for them because somebody's either going to take them in, they think it's a stray animal. You really, and really most pets are lost between less than 2-3 miles from their home. They may stroll over 3 or 4 blocks and panhandle a meal, but you can find your pet pretty well automatically, instantly, really, with this device. Am I right in that assumption, sir?
Yes, absolutely, and you're right, Mick. I also,
it's usually lost in your neighborhood.
Yep, just in the neighborhood. Usually, it's not far away. No more 1 to 2 miles even. And as soon as you can get, as soon as you get information about the location, which with this pet tracker, it's much easier. You just look and that's it. Then, the panic aspect is going away. I also have a little dog in the house. My daughter freaked out when the dog,
right.
got lost. And,
well, they're family members. And sometimes they're better family members than family members because they're loyaler and they don't give you any lip. But we've all seen it. We've all walked down the street and we've all seen the stickers and the posters on telephone poles and mailboxes. Wow. About the dog or the cat that's missing. If you walk down the street any given day here in Fort Lauderdale, you're going to see it. And this would eliminate the problem. A more serious aspect, and Tom was involved in a project, and I got involved with him too. You know that the statistics on girls that go off to college, that they're gonna encounter some sort of sexual harassment, and the figures are staggering. And it was I saw it on CNN the other night, where they're saying that 1 out of 4, will encounter some sort of harassment. And to be able to know where your kid is with the sticking device, you can put it on top of the glove compartment and not even tell them, so you know where that car is at all time. It does happen.
Hey, Dan, Mick, if you don't mind, Danny, the applications are abound, and if you have multiple units, how are you let's say because I could easily see using 20, 30, 40 of these in my life. How is that then depicted on my device? In other words, can they all be active at the same time?
Danny, did we lose you? We must have lost Danny, but that's a good question. I guess it would have to go. I hate to throw it up, because I'm really an amoeba when it comes to this business. But I would imagine that you'd have, different codes that you put in. So each code that goes in there, whatever you're looking for, that specific item, Tom, I guess you would find it that way.
Yeah. Well, Mick, what we've seen when we started doing some homework for you, so I'm not going to name any names, but all we're seeing is that the units out there that are being sold, in many cases, don't even function at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of hooey involved. Where they say they could go 25, 30 miles, and you can't get them three blocks away. I've seen that myself, and I've also read the comments. What's funny is today with the internet, you can you can see the reviews, and the reviews are not favorable at all. Oh, hold on, did we get Danny back? Did you get him back? There's something wrong with the connection between California and here, Tom, so it's you and me right now.
You know what we should do? We should get one of those tracking devices so we know where he is.
No, we know he's out in L.A. somewhere. Well, you know how it is out in Los Angeles. There's a lot more tech out there than there is here in Fort Lauderdale, for sure. But it's an interesting thing when you come down to it.
When you first introduced me to the company, the first response was, "Oh, we've heard of this before." But the further we dove into this, and the more we looked into it, we were taken back by the sophistication and truly the difference between this and anything else in the market. It was amazing. It's horse and wagon compared to Learjets. Yet that's their message to market. It's the differential is unbelievable. The initial impact was, I've heard of that before, as I mentioned, but that's not the case here. They truly have something special.
Fantastic. We're back, right? Danny, you there now?
Yes.
Okay, we lost you for a little while.
I was dropped from the show here. Just, of course, to mention, the beauty, first of all, to answer Tom's question, returning to this, you can register, many devices on your one app. Okay, you have a mobile app, and you can register a few spheres, a few Guardian pet trackers, and see them at all times. You can, of course, add text to the description. This one you can say my dog. This one is my father dog, my son dog, etc. You can have customize it. So
like a file.
Ultimately, yes. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, you see on screen, a few dots exactly with their location on the map, and the most nicely about that is you can also see the speed. You can actually see the speed. You can see some statistics. So assuming your dog got lost and you see that the dot moves on the map, you can actually click on a button there and see, okay, it moves in 3 miles per hour. So, you see where it's heading, its speed, and its exact location.
When do you believe, we were talking earlier too, Tom. I don't know if Danny went over this with you, but he's developed a microchip that works directly from SIM cards so they can talk to each other. Explain that new product that's coming out, Danny. That's amazing. We have it on the screen right now. Give us a little background on that.
Sure. Well, the code name, which we call it Gopher Insight, this actually what we actually came originally with. This was about 2.5 years ago. The Gopher Insight microchip is targeted to be on SIM card or an SD card or even on the phone's motherboard itself. The main idea of that chip, once you have it on your SIM card per se or anywhere else, it turns your mobile device, what we call, your phone, it becomes a super phone. When I say super phone, means it's really enhancing the entire phone capability as a computing device, as a media device, as a database and organization device, by basically communicating with many other similar chips on other devices. So if I, for example, on my phone, have this SIM card with this microchip, and a guy in Australia also have the same chip on his SIM card because he bought also the same product, then this microchip is going to communicate by themselves on their own secured network protocol, making the phones much better. And just example, one of them is computing power. Once you download some document which is heavy on your phone, it's a Word document,
Right.
or a picture, very heavy, you click, instead of waiting, this microchip going to go and search in split second for computing powers, for available computing power on other phones on that chip, and borrow for a split second their power, so you don't have to wait until this document loads. It will load in a blink of an eye. Transparent to you.
That sounds phenomenal. We're on with Dr. Danny Rittman from Gopher Protocol. GOPH is the symbol, trading on the OTCBB. And joined also from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Tom Kozlowski with RP Summit. You can visit Tom at rpsummit.com. Now, Tommy, you basically have been an expert at internet marketing, and we know all this. But you also have something that we spoke about when Danny was lost in space on the phone lines about debunking some of the products that are out there. You know, like you said, the first time you spoke to Dan, you said, listen, it's a pretty crowded field in a lot of ways. And then as you sorted it out, you began to see that some of these products just don't work whatsoever. They're just not cutting it.
Well, yeah, Mick. Well, first of all, it's twofold. Our research base is on in two aspects: A, product itself, and then B, what we want to do is take a look behind the curtain and see how these other companies did sell millions of units. So that's the good thing. We can tell how they do that. But more importantly, as you said, we can follow the customer base and get responses. And as I said, when you first brought this to me, and before I had the pleasure of speaking with Danny, the initial response was, well, geez, Mick, there's a ton of these things out there. But as we went further and further, the separation of the technology and the capabilities are non-comparable. You can't. This compares to, and we spent a lot of time and due diligence on this. Nothing compares to this on the market. Nothing. It's not even close.
And then now you're going to be taking a look at the other line of products. Danny, you got about 5 or 6 products you're going to roll out between now and probably 2018. Probably the second quarter you'll begin with a couple of more. And then by the time, you were saying, by the time you get to probably 2018, you'll come up with this super chip, which will probably be installed in the phone when you buy it. Because I know you've been working with several companies on taking it directly to the phone manufacturers themselves.
Well, yes, Mick, the idea is, again, we are discussing all the time. We are checking all our options. Of course, the ultimate would be to actually have this microchip embedded within every phone motherboard, because, in the heart of the phone. But as another option, we also, can go also independently, just putting on a small SIM card, since this microchip is going to be manufactured in advanced technology. That means it's going to be really, really tiny, advanced, like many advanced, sophisticated microchips today. It can be easily placed on even SD card, like a memory card, or even your SIM card. And that's actually one of the neatest thing in this phone. Now, as I mentioned before, this microchip has many features. I'm just mentioning here only a few, but it has many features that currently do not have on phones, on mobile phones or PDMs. And that's why we say, this microchip is going to turn your phone into a super phone. Yes, the target is probably to complete, the design of the full design to manufacturing towards 2018, but the goal is by 2020 to have it on many cell phones.
And so Gopher's gone ahead and laid out its game plan to go out for the next 2 years or so and steadily release its products to basically enhance its own cash flow and keep itself floating in a good standing.
True. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm. I noticed, on the stock side of the deal, you trade roughly around $1.20, $1.10, $1.05, $1.15. But the point is, there isn't really any float out there other than less than about 1.5 million shares of stock, which is really a Mickey Mouse float. I mean, you can go anywhere on the pink sheets or the bulletin board, and you see these companies with Walmart floats with Kool-Aid stand revenues. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So your stock is tightly held. You're a company that's basically, from all indication, self-funded and debt-free. And now you're in the funding aspects of the company to go ahead and take your product to market. Am I right in that assumption?
Yes, this is correct.
Mm-hmm. And we look to launch the Guardian Pet Tracker probably within the next 30 to 60 days. And it'll be available for everybody. And I know, that you guys have been talking about different website designs so the consumer can go right to it and purchase and have it delivered the next day if they want. I mean, or have multiple units. And most people have more than one pet. If you're going to have a dog, I know too many houses that have 2 dogs and 1 cat, 1 dog and 2 cats. I mean, there's, especially here in South Florida, everybody's really wrapped up in a love affair with their animals. I'd imagine that you would meet pretty well with some success, at least from what I know here in South Florida.
Well, yeah, thank you, Mick. Given the fact that I think that the Guardian Pet Tracker is the first of its kind that really provides you today an extensive coverage. We do have, of course, many devices, other pet trackers today in the market, but none of them actually can provide such a robust coverage, in the miles range,
right?
Like the Guardian Pet Tracker. And yes, the plan is, soon we're going to also. I don't have the exact date yet, but we're going to launch also maybe some crowdfunding campaign. So yeah, we're definitely coming to the market in the next few months.
Excellent. And another thing about the Guardian patch, it's got a little hook right on it. You can just put it right on the pet's collar if you want, right?
Right, that's the pet tracker, yes.
Yeah, the pet tracker, pardon me. It slips onto anything. But, we're going to keep this in mind. You certainly caught a bull market with the new election taking place. The market did hit 20,000 today. I don't know where it is right now, if it's going to close above 20, but it's sure record territory. And you'll be moving, hopefully, one day to a brighter exchange, probably the NASDAQ. I'm surprised they haven't even invited you as of yet, because you've certainly been around long enough. And we're going to take this to another level. We'll bring you back in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about the progress of the company. We'll bring Tom on. Tom will also do some more research on it and see what he can bring to the table. And we'll take it from there, Doctor. And I appreciate you coming on the show. It's been terrific. And hopefully we'll talk to you again shortly in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure.
Very good. Tom, you stay on because we're going to come back. Okay, I'm going to go to break. This is the Mixter. You're on your money's worth, and I'm going to come back with Tom Kozlowski. Terrific product, Gopher Protocol, GOPH-OTCBB. Take a good long look at it. It's worth a shot. And I'll come back right after this word from our sponsor. Tommy, don't go away. Nick Bariani, you've done it again. Cigar Republic USA, located right on A1A and Oakland Park Boulevard. Hey, listen, slaving on a hot mic every day like I do, I look to unwind. Happy hour, 11 to 7. It's not happy hour, it's happy days. Well drinks, $5. Drop in and see JoJo behind the bar. Have yourself a ball at Cigar Republic USA, located right on Oakland Park Boulevard by the beach, next to the famous Motorano's Cafe. You can't miss it. It's right there, right by the North Beach Shops, which is booming over there right now. New restaurants popping up everywhere. Come into the Cigar Republic USA. Now listen, there's no better gift than a box of cigars. And Nick, he's done it right. He's got everything you can think of for cigar smokers everywhere. And you don't smell the smoke when you're in his place. That's the phenomenal thing about it. I mean, Non-smokers like the place. You could go next door, chill out on the Rocky Patel Signature Lounge, which is abuts the cigar bar. Terrific place, leather couches, everything. Big screen televisions. They're all over the place. Have a ball at Cigar Republic USA. Nick Mariani's done it well again. Come in, hot barmaids like you've never seen before. Visit with the, I like to call her my little Lima Llama. Go in and see Cindy and the rest of the crew over there. Have a steak sandwich, 8-ounce New York Prime, grilled onions, everything on it. Fantastic. Or a real Cuban sandwich. I heard Fidel Castro orders them. I don't know. It sounds good anyway. Cigar Republic USA, right on the corner of Oakland Park Boulevard and A1A in Fort Lauderdale, right by the North Beach shops. Can't miss it. Tell them the Mixter sent you and have yourself a ball. 1:35 back on the show. Your money's worth. I'm the Mixter. Joined on the phones with RP Summit President and CEO Tom Kozlowski. What do you think, Tom? He's got a pretty good product, huh?
No, he certainly does, Mick. Like I said, we spent a lot of time on it, and as you know, we usually don't do that, but we feel that there's something here.
No, you know, and I tell you the truth. I appreciate your input on it, and I know how you and your staff have delved into these other so-calls. And when you told me about that company that did 4.5 million units, that got my attention because they're all online. I mean, you know, I don't know. We were talking earlier about Amazon. And just how great that company's been built up to. And you said it, you know, for the first, 5 or 6 years, it hemorrhaged money. And today, I got 2 gifts mailed to me this year, and they both had the smiling face on them. My daughter sent me a microwave. My other daughter and her husband sent me a pan set. You know, just from Amazon. I mean, they must be cleaning up over there. You could order books. You could order soft drinks. I just can't believe how magnificent and how big they've really grown.
Well, you know, Mick, it goes beyond. See, people get caught in the tactic or the package or whatever they're purchasing. The brilliance behind what he did is he built the expression, if you build your herd. You know, John Lennon uses the expression. He says, I'm going to build myself a pool. Well, what does that mean? He's going to write a song. You know, he took the time. Right now, Amazon could sell you toilet paper if they wanted to. They have everybody or a significant portion of the world on their database. And
right.
That holds true for any sort of marketing. In other words, even for Danny's product, for example. You know, I think the mistake most people make goes back to what we mentioned earlier with the touches. How many times you touch someone before they're willing to spend their money with you. The expression is KLNT. You know, K stands for K, get to know me. Once you know me, you like me. Once you like me, you trust me. Once you trust me, you'll give me your money. That's the mistake a lot of companies make, is they turn around and they spend their money on marketing that does not turn around and put together some sort of form of drip marketing or an attempt to build a list and then, you know, and then market.
Right, they just try and hammer you for the money rather than build up the relationship prior to taking your money, which is the overall objective. But the point is they don't rush into it. You know, and RP Summit, for example, I just throw this out. You market, first of all, you got, I don't know, dozens of car lots. I mean, big dealerships where you basically bring up their sales. And we were talking that usually the sphere of influence of any business, be it a pizzeria or a restaurant or a plastic surgeon, which you also work with hand in hand, is really what, about 10 miles?
Yeah, you're looking. It's based on population, Mick. You know, obviously, you know, we're here in the Delaware Valley, so you know, the population is significantly more dense than it might be somewhere in the Midwest, obviously. But typically, yeah, I mean, you have your coffee cup, and you're going to draw from there. So, you know, although a car dealership is a national brand, what a lot of them don't understand is really they're a local business. It goes out 10, 12 miles. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Right. And, you know, we talked about it in general, you know, with RP Summit. You were way ahead of the curve when you could market strictly to a zip code or go after a target market. Let's face it, all right? If you're 75 years old, you're not going to buy a Corvette, all right? But you could actually target people that are in that age bracket or in that dominion where they're looking for something like that. You could tie in income, you could tie in age, you could tie in spending habits, and basically zip code and where they live and their lifestyle to give your client the opportunity to go after a great clientele, not waste his money on advertising, which you're not going to hit.
Well, and it's funny you say that, and even the things you're mentioning right there are nothing shy of obsolete. In other words, when you get into your big data miners, Axiom, Polk, Blue Kai, these are multi-billion-dollar companies, but even they, going back just a few years, were based on the premise of assumptions or algorithms. You're 22 months into your car, you should buy a car. But that whole landscape has even changed. You're able now in these days to identify people that are actually what they call in the market, not based on even a search online, but where they go online. In other words, Mick, if you're looking for a car, sometimes people are shopping, but if you go to what they call third-party authority sites, let's use the auto business, for example. You have Car Gurus, Auto Trader, Edmunds.com. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Well, if I know Mick Bazzuly went to look for a brand new Cadillac on Edmunds, and then you went to here, then you went to there, and you went to the Cadillac site 3 or 4 times, well, chances are you're not buying a washing machine. We have built up a solid case for the fact that Mick Bazzuly did not just only search for a Cadillac, he went to 20 different sites looking for that particular brand, make, and model. We know you're in the market for that, and we can target you.
That's the whole thing with RP Summit as far as targeting. And I guess this is why you've been successful as an agency and why people come to you, is because you're going to go after a specific person, a person that's looking for a product, be it a plastic surgeon or a certain car or whatever, a travel, people who are looking to go to Europe, people who are looking to sail off to Italy, people looking to go after a cruise. You've isolated it. And I like what you said when you walk into a dealership to exchange dollars. If you give me $1 and I give you 3 back or 4 back, you should give me all the dollars I want. I mean, I've never heard anybody, I've been in business almost 40 years, and I've never heard anybody say, if you don't like what I've done for you in the last 30 or 60 days, don't pay me. I've never heard that used before.
Because most marketing, let's be realistic, and I think one of the things, and I know one of the things that separate us from the pack, I have an expression, we don't have a horse in the race. What I mean by that is when any business is typically hit by a sales rep representing either a product or a tactic. They represent Google, they represent a TV station. We don't represent anyone. We represent the client. And having said that, not one size fits all. What I mean by that is, what works for your dealership may not work for the same brand, make, and models 100 miles away because it's a different marketplace. It's our job to identify that, number one. But then number two, once we do so, is to get as many, as they call in the auto business, for example, swings at the bat. How many ups can we get for a dealership? And we're confident enough in our programs that you bring us on board, whatever industry you're in. We have a customer reactivation program that most businesses are horrible at in the first place, that we come in place, we implement our program. It's within 72 hours you'll see results. If you don't see results, don't pay me. I don't know. And that agency, we work with Ogilvy out of New York.
Yeah,
$4 billion company. They don't
the biggest agency in the universe, really. You know what was interesting too, when you turn around and you say, "Don't pay me." I've never heard anybody use that line. Before. It's staggering, in the business. I know Ogilvy Mathers don't do it, that's for sure.
We've cut down hour-long presentations into about 5 minutes. I don't mind it. If you don't like what we're doing, I don't want your money.
Being able to identify a target. And you brought it up too. Listen, if I drive 400 people to your restaurant and they don't come back, it's because your food sucks, not because I didn't do my job.
Well, we have, and that's exactly whatever industry you're in, exactly. We turn around, it's our goal, our duty, and our responsibility to get people through the door. If your people can't close or they can't sell, again, that's not you have a bigger problem than we are. You need bigger help than we do. And,
you talk about reactivating lists, and I found this impressive, speaking to you about a year ago. If you have 1,000 customers, and let's say, for example, you're in a restaurant, and these are dormant customers, but you have their email, you have pertinent information, or they had subscribed to something or coupons, and you turn around and you say, okay, give me your 1,000 names. Now, if these people come in once a month and those 1,000 people come in twice a month, I just doubled your business.
Well, there's an old adage, there's really only 3 ways to grow a business, and most people spend 99% of their energy on what they call client acquisition. But they don't realize that increased transaction value, or 3, increased frequency of transaction can double your business that way. And most people don't understand that.
No, they don't. And you brought up that point, too, that people are too busy working in their business to be working on it. And that basically is the job of RP Summit, to come in there and organize and bring traffic. And I don't care if it's web traffic. I mean, the first time you looked at the product, and as you delved into it, you turned out, you said, well, these people, 4 million people bought these units here. That would be my target, to say, listen, your battery's dead. Why don't you upgrade and go for something better that really works?
Or better yet, try to depict an identifier in that 4 million people. Let's find that. We don't know, but you can find out of those 4 million people, were 50% pet owners or were 50% bicycle owners.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I'm trying to say? So once you identify that, then you focus your energies there. You're not wasting money. You're not throwing money away. It's targeting marketing.
The targeting marketing is where it's at. You used to go by demographics in the old days. And listen, you were the youngest casino boss and casino floor manager. You took over, I forget which casino it was, when you were only like 26, 27 years old. So gathering information has been a major part of your whole career, I guess, because I know every time I went to a casino, and anybody who's ever gambled before and has been a regular at a certain place, they know what you smoke, they know what you drink, they know what you like to eat. I mean, gathering information, and you did have that other public company, which you were a part of, that you took from a similar situation here as Gopher, and went from the bulletin board, first from the pink sheet to the bulletin board, right to the NASDAQ. And I often tell people, if you want to see what Tom does and what he developed over his years, look at Ocean's 13 in that one scene where you see all the numbers above each table has the numbers there, whether they're in the red, whether they're in black, the slow dealers. You identified everything back then, and it's carried forward with RP Summit, and that's why you went ahead. And how long is RP? RP's been around a long time.
We're going on 11 years now, Mick.
Mm-hmm. And you had strategic partnerships with some of the biggest in the industry. In fact, the biggest in the industry, with Ogilvy on several projects. You're pretty well wired in when it comes to sorting through the baloney. I mean, anytime I ever have anything good, he's my go-to guy. You ever hear the term, I got a guy? Well, you're that guy, because I know there's certain things you're going to sort through it. And you have over the years, and you saved me a terrible amount of money, because every time I bring you a product, I think, because I'm not a technical person, okay? And I'll be the first one to admit it, okay? I'm better than most, but not nearly where you are. And when I bring you stuff and I think it's an original, all of a sudden you come back to me and say, hey, there's 65 companies that I pulled up just today that are doing the same thing. And it's talk about deflating the sales or popping the balloon, but at least I know when I get something out of you, and when I get something out of your people up in Cherry Hill, I know it's the truth, because you are partnered up with Google and Yahoo and some of these where information flows, in. So I know when somebody says it's not a duck, you may quack like a duck. It's not. I gotta say, I gotta go along with you.
Well, and I'll go in the same category as you. I wouldn't consider myself a tech. I'm surrounded by some brilliant people. But I think there lies also the underlying value of what we're able to do for people. What I mean by that is this. Too many people are relying sometimes too much on technology, the magic software, the magic algorithm. You still have to have a message to market. You still have to have a funnel or a process or a method to touch people multiple times and deliver this message and so on and so forth. I think, in this world of technology, people are too busy worrying about the next, like I say, the next magic silver bullet or the next magic. And it doesn't work that way. You use these tools. That's why I said earlier, we don't have a horse. We use anything. We even have one of our programs called the Force Multiplier. It means from land, air, and sea, we'll use whatever we need to do to get your job done. Not everyone's job done. I could talk to 10 dealerships, and they all have distinctive identifiables in their programs that make them different from the other one, because it doesn't apply there. And that's the difference. There's a human factor to this also. You have to have that message to market and be willing to put these plans together. Most people aren't willing to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know Danny Rittman is. The doctor told me many times that you're going to be the go-to guy when it comes to heading up this project. And, when you have a good product, I mean, if you have a good product and a good support team, just like in the automotive business, if you got great service personnel, you're going to get the business, because they're going to come back to you over and over again. I mean, the worst thing in the world is to have a car that you pull it in and you get terrible service because it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And the next time when it comes time to get rid of that car, you're not going to go back. They say when you buy a pre-owned car or a used car, as we used to call them, now they're pre-owned, you always buy let's say a Lincoln from a Lincoln dealership. That means the guy who traded that Lincoln and thought enough of that Lincoln to buy a new one, or a Caddy from a Caddy dealership. I mean, but if you go to a Caddy dealership and you see a BMW there, it's an old adage. The guy didn't think enough of the BMW to go and buy another BMW. He decided to say, I'm going to go with a Cadillac because I'm not happy with what I got in Beamer. I mean, you got to say that's got to be true in some way.
It's true across the board in many industries, and it goes back to what you mentioned earlier. You talk to a business and you say, well, A, what's the lifetime value of your customer? Most businesses wouldn't necessarily even understand the answer to that question. And B, what's your attrition rate? What most businesses don't understand is close to 68% of people that no longer do business with you is just a simple sense of indifference. You didn't care enough about me. Now, 10% don't like you anymore, and 20% moved away, but that's 68% of the people that would still be doing business with you if you just had a process in place that you kept in touch with them, educated them, kept touching them. I touch my customers. You're a client of mine. You get approximately 140 to 160 touches from me a year. That can range anything from a postcard to an email. It's across the board, and I never ask for money.
It's funny because your application, and there's another thing you said, nobody ever invented anything. It's how you apply it. And you use multiple applications to go after a certain clientele or to develop a lead. It's not just anybody can send emails. I mean, you use 7, 8, 9, 10 things over and over again. You're constantly switching and moving for all your clients. And I like when somebody, what do they say to you? Well, tell me what you do. And you said, I'm not going to tell you what I do. It's, that's what we do. I'm not going to give away my trade secrets for you.
We utilize what we do is without question proprietary. But Mick, I'll give you an example. Some of the technologies that exist today that we can set up programs that if someone were to call your business, any business that has incoming calls, and that customer hangs up, can instantaneously get multiple messages via email, text messaging, so on and so forth. Not only that, I can give you their name, their address, their mailing address. You don't even have to capture the data anymore. We can do that for you. How powerful is that?
That's almost
they get about
mind-boggling.
1,100 calls a month.
Yeah, you do.
That they don't convert on. They might get 50 appointments, but what about the other 1,000 people you didn't? Now that same day, they can follow up, they can contact, they can send. If it was my dealership, I'd get in the car, go to the person's house, and invite them for a test ride.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
The kind of tools. And I'll promise you this, not too many people have those type of capabilities. So that's why I say that's a spoke on our wheel, but that's how we put it all together into a campaign.
You get 1,000 people in 1,000 different businesses, and they get people that hang up. I don't care if you're a plastic surgeon, if you're a doctor, they'll ring 4 or 5 times and they'll just hang up. And then you go out, you capture that, and right away they got an email or they get a text message. Something along those lines. You captured the information just with that one phone call.
Mick, most businesses will not follow up, as I said earlier. They will not follow up. You and I spoke about a few of these situations, even in the construction industry. You put out a bid, you call a painter up. You call 10 painters. Well, everybody shows up one time. Every painter calls you back once. It's the painter that gets back to you and keeps in touch with you 3, 4, 5 times that gets 80% of the business.
That's true.
Yet most businesses spend all their money on advertising, don't even bother following up properly.
You brought up a point, one of your first dealerships had maybe 300-400 calls when nobody followed up on them. I mean, here you got 300-400 calls which you generated through your efforts, and nobody even got back to these people.
They don't. And listen, and it's understandable. In other words, you have employees in there, lower level entry employees. It's a human factor. They might, that's a tough racket calling, getting on the phone and calling people. You know that.
Yeah, it's
so
brutal.
The first hour they're enthusiastic. By the end of the day, they're calling their aunts and uncles on.
Yeah, it's strength of the numbers. Anytime you have people calling out, it's strength of the numbers. You got to make 500 phone calls to get 2 or 3 live wires. You got hang-ups, you got people that are dead.
Them other ways, like if you could touch them other ways, via email, text messaging, digital advertising, display advertising, go on and on and on. And all of a sudden you have what they call omnipresence, that it's not just it's not a one-shot wonder where you're just telemarketing to get. No, you've touched them 50, 60 different ways in the course of a week's time. the results are exponential. It goes through the roof.
That's one of the good things about you. You see the results. Everybody I talk to is a client of yours. Always says that within 60, 90 days, their business is for the amount of money they're spending, it's well worth it. That's why even when somebody gets rid of you for one reason or another and they drop back to the level they were before they found you, they knew that these leads came from you. Unlike newspaper or TV, they don't even know where these stuff's coming from. Nobody knows of radio or TV or print advertising. Just in automotive, each dealership spends $100,000 a week in advertising. You don't know if it's working.
Mick, as you said earlier, it's an ROI play. I tell all my customers, if you think we're going to take you from 100 customers to 100,000 for a couple thousand, you're missing.
You're dreaming.
It's an ROI play. If you give me $1 on Monday and I give you back 2, 3, or 4 on a Wednesday, you should give me as many dollars as you comfortably can, because that's what it is. It's ROI.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Tom. Listen, we're going to be wrapping it up. Tommy, I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your insight. I mean, you've educated people. I know you've done seminars and, going back to the J. Abraham days, but, you seem to really, you and your staff seem to be really pro at it. I know Dr. Rittman, he appreciates all the help that your company has given them over at Gopher, and I look forward to working with both of you in the future and having you on the show again. I mean, after all, like I said earlier, you're the go-to guy. There's no doubt about it. But I want to say thank you for coming on the show, and we'll talk during the week.
I appreciate it, Mick. Have a great day.
Have a great day, Tom. Tom Kozlowski, RP Summit at a Cherry Hill. If you're in business, and I don't care what kind of business you're in, go ahead and take a look at rpsummit.com. Reach out to Tom and his people, and he's not going to chew your arm off price-wise. He certainly has the credibility and the credentials. 30 years in business, no baggage, nothing that's going to shake the tree. He's been nothing but perfect with me. And he's a scientist. He's a man that has been working with chips since the 1970s. He knows exactly what he wanted to do, and now he's gone ahead and he's done it. So GOPH is the symbol. Get a chance, log on, take a look at their price. Take a look at the stock. Take a look at the amount of float and how solid this company can be and will be, I'm sure, in the future. I want to say thank you to Dr. Rittman, Danny Rittman, for coming on from Gopher. I want to thank our good friend Tom Kozlowski from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, for coming on and adding his insight and giving us all an education. I want to thank the people here at Bazsuly Broadcasting for allowing us to broadcast. Our good friend Freddie Santori, Linda, and our good friends over at amp2.tv. Make sure you catch Freddie's show. I'm the Mixter. I'll catch you next time. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Good afternoon.
You have been listening to The Mixter and the Radio Raccoon with Mick the Mixter Bazzuly and Cynthia the Raccoon Ferguson. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.